Hello everyone, my name is Dogly, and this time I'm going to do something a little bit different and just make a fun character tier list. As in literally a character tier list based off of how fun it is to play each character. So we're not doing this tier list based off of power level or meta or anything like that. This is just how much fun I have playing each of these characters. So I think it's important to kind of just create a little bit of a framework for what is fun. A lot of people have different preferences with characters, they find a lot of different things fun. For me, I really look forward to a few different things. The first being that the character can do something exciting that other characters can't do. So, first criteria is essentially a uniqueness factor. Second criteria is how flexible the character can be, whether it is in terms of their movement, play style, how many different things they can do, how many different teammates they can potentially interact with. And the third thing, which is a little bit weird in some cases, but it's also just how much they can do on the field at a given time. So I generally find characters that are more support based, just hop on the field for 2 seconds and then come off, or sub DPSs, purely sub DPSs. Like, I generally find them a little bit less fun to play unless they have some sort of mechanic that really makes me think about how to use their burst effectively or how to use their elemental skill super effectively. So characters that are kind of mindless, where you just plop down their burst or their E and then you get them off the field, I don't really tend to have too much fun with those characters. There are a few support characters that I think require a little bit more thought or that can make it a little bit more fun for me, but by and large, I don't have a ton of fun with characters that, just drop something and leave, and it's just kind of that mindless rotation that I don't really like too much. If things can get a little bit more complicated, though, then I can have more fun. Alright, so that's just my personal preferences and what I'm kind of looking forward to with this tier list. So let's kind of jump right into it and see how things go. So you can see here that I'm going with an SS tier to a D tier, so I don't have anything lower than a D. I probably won't put too many characters in flat out D, but let's get going. First up, we have the Traveler, so Aether and Lumine, who I'll just put as the same character since they basically are the same character. They're a little bit of a wild card for me. I think I have had some fun on Anemo Traveler. I've tried a little bit of Electro Traveler. They're not for me. And then Geo Traveler, I think, is not that fun for me either. So I guess I'm gonna be judging this off of Anemo Traveler. Excuse me. I'd say Anemo Traveler for me is a B tier fun. So I really like the ability to pull in enemies, and with the E, I think there's a lot of finesse with getting the E elemental skill to work properly. Building with elemental mastery, then you can swirl with your E as well. I personally don't find the ultimate very fun, but I do think there's a lot of potential with elemental mastery builds and using swirls with the crowd control that you have. Up next we have Albedo. Ooh, this one's tough. In general, he is kind of a character that just drops his field and then sometimes bursts occasionally, and he can't really do too much beyond that. I mean, his sustained ability to be on the field is really limited, but I feel like he's also a character where, his field effect by itself can actually just add a lot of fun to different teams on their own. But again, like, it's more of like other characters are making his field fun for him, or making his elevator fun for him, rather than him being able to actually utilize it on its own. So it's a little bit tough, but I guess I'll rank Albedo as a B tier. I guess I'll just put Lumine there as well, because she's just Aether. Ether, sorry. So up next is Amber. This one, I'm sorry, but she just doesn't do anything. I gotta put her as a D. Like, if you can somehow get lucky with Mega Constellations and get 2 Baron Bunnies, then sometimes they can be uh, fun. Like, might have a little bit of deploy action there, but she just doesn't actually do anything as a character, so I can't call her fun in any way. Alright, up next we have Kamisato Ayaka. So, in the beginning of playing with her, I really struggled to have fun. Like, I just couldn't get her movements to work out for me. But, after a few weeks, I slowly started getting the hang of it, and she became a lot more fun. I like, using her sprint a lot. I like, the fact that her E works really well with her sprint in terms of you can use her E, sprint for a second, come back, have increased cryo damage. I like how her whole kit kind of just works really smoothly together. But she's also kind of more effective probably as a burst support than a full-on like a sustained DPS. I don't know, it's kind of tricky. But I do have fun playing with her. Not like top tier fun, but definitely a lot of fun. So I'm going to put her as A tier. Barbara. I feel like this might be a little bit unfair in terms of like I'm ranking Barbara and Amber as D, and that might just be like a meta reaction. But at the same time, if they're not fun, if they don't do anything in the game, then they're not fun for me either. So sorry, Barbara. It's also very not fun to have your characters wet with her healing and then get frozen. That's the antithesis of fun, to get a frozen character due to healing with Barbara. Beidou. Beidou is definitely a character that fits the unique criteria because of her ultimate counter skill. But I think that skill can sometimes be a little bit hard if you're not familiar with it. It can be a little bit janky in that regard. I personally haven't played Beidou too much, so whenever there's a character that I haven't played, for more than probably 5 hours, I would say, I would give a disclaimer, and I have not played Beidou for more than 5 hours, maybe like 2 or 3. And as a result, I don't have too much experience with her, but what I do, from what I do know about her, I would probably put her in the B tier. Alright, up next we have Bennett. I think Bennett as a character can do a lot of really cool things with his burst. I mean, just the animation of him dropping his burst is super fun. His charged attacks are really fun to use, even though I don't think they're super effective to use. It is always like just really fun to see the animation and to kind of just get that charge build up. Having the bounce back animation is kind of just fun to watch. I think Bennett is probably like a little bit less fun than Kamisato Ayaka, so I guess I'll kind of start to rank these characters as well. So if I put them higher in the bracket, that means I personally found them more fun than the characters a little bit lower. But I do think Bennett's A rank fun. He can get a lot of reactions going on, so I think just by being a pyro character, compared to a lot of other characters, like you just have a little bit more flexibility with the reactions that you're going to get. If you go with an elemental build, you can do a lot of things. I think he just has a lot of flexibility in terms of building as well. On my main account, I run Bennett with a support build, noblesse build. On my second account, I run him as basically a DPS slash sub DPS offensive build with Crimson Witch. So he has a lot of flexibility there, and it doesn't feel like he's always doing the same exact thing in my mind. Up next we have Chungyun. I think he would be probably like in this A minus B plus ranking as well, so I'll put him after Bennett. I think while he does largely just drop his E then go off the field, I think timing his burst is a little bit more skill based than a lot of other characters in terms of their burst. I mean, like getting the right time to get a melt reaction or frozen reaction is really important with Chongyun, and I think as a result he gets a little bit more points than Albedo in that regard. Diluc. I personally just have never had fun playing as Diluc. I have him at C1 on my second account. I haven't even really built him because I don't have fun with him. I just don't think he does anything that's particularly fun. His movements are really clanky, and I do think that in general, if you have a character who has very jagged movements or movements that don't flow well together, attacks that don't flow well together, I just don't have a lot of fun with them. Up next is Diona. Diona. I think that she has a lot of potential in terms of her shield and her burst. I think she's a good character by all means, but I don't think she's super fun overall. I feel like she doesn't have as many, like, I mean, if I'm just comparing her to Albedo, I think she's less fun than Albedo. I think Albedo's elevator, all of his damage procs are kind of fun. Whereas I feel like her shields are just so short and you feel like you don't get a lot out of them. And I feel like when she's on the field, she doesn't really do much other than shielding and bursting. So I think she's going to be the first character that I'll put in C tier. Again, I think like if I was ranking her on meta skill, I would rank her higher than C. I think she has a lot of good things going for her, but I don't think she's super fun to play as. Up next is Fischl. Ooh, this one's a tough one. So I've played Fischl probably like right around that 5 hour mark, not a ton. I feel like I don't have like a ton of things that I can really say that's good or bad about her. She does what she does, and I mean, her burst is kind of interesting. That's definitely a unique burst by all means, just flying around. But it's also so short that I don't know if it's worth it in the long run. I would probably rank her as C tier just because her actual kit is something that I find a little bit hard to use, or a little bit repetitive in some ways. Like, it doesn't feel like she adds too much. Again, if this was a meta ranking, then I might go differently though. Alright, up next is Ganyu. I had so much fun after I first pulled and raised Ganyu. She was the first character that I felt like I could actually be a sniper with, you know, getting long range distance attacks. And I absolutely just had so much fun going around Tevat, you know, finding rune guards, trying to just shoot them from a distance and everything, trying to find anything that I could in the world just to play as her. She was the first character where I, you know, really wanted to explore and actually play with her, going, you know, through the world and actually using her as a character. So I think I gotta put her as S tier. She was so much fun when she first came out, and she's still fun now. I feel like I probably play her a little bit less now, just because of all the other characters that have come out, but her charged attacks are so fun to use. She has so much potential with support potential with her burst as well, support and DPS potential. She can do a lot. A little bit of crowd control with her taunt on her E as well. Hu Tao is next. Okay, Hu Tao is interesting. I feel like Hu Tao is fun. It's just then trying to rank how fun she is. This is tough. I don't want to stretch this out too long, but I think her charge attacks and doing charge cancels can give a lot of fun results. Generally her flow is using her E, using a bunch of charge attacks, and then ending with her burst. And I feel like you have a different team compositions that can work if you want to go for Vaporize and Melt. I don't know if there's an Overload team that works with her yet, maybe sometime in the future. But she has, a little bit of flexibility. But I feel like she wasn't like as unique as Ganyu. She didn't, offer the first of her kind as a character. And I also feel like she could get a little bit repetitive at sometimes. Not as repetitive as some other characters, but still a little bit repetitive. I'll rank her. She's like right where Bennett is. I'm not sure if I'll rank her above Bennett or below Bennett. I'll say just below Bennett, but above Chungyun. Of course, timing her burst right can be really fun as well. And sometimes seeing big numbers can be fun, but I think it's more of like she's a pretty smooth character to play as if you can get her jump cancels to work. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing as Hu Tao. Up next is Jean. I think there's a lot of potential with her E in terms of shooting enemies up in the air and then getting them to fall down, shooting them into the water and so forth. So she does have flexibility in terms of overworld play. In terms of Abyss play, she's a lot more standard, where you basically just use her as burst support. I think I'll personally rank her as the highest of my B so far. I have more fun playing as Jean than I do Albedo, but less fun than Chungyun. Up next is Kaya. I find like Kaya's personality really turned me off for the longest time, so I didn't play him a lot until somewhat recently. But I feel like his kit is pretty good. His E has a low cooldown. He can get a lot of flexibility with his ultimate, but I feel like I don't know, that's tough. I would probably rank him like the highest of the C's so far. I do think like he does have some fun factor in terms of freezing, in terms of getting sustained, his sustained ult on the field. I think like he works really well with a bunch of different characters, so I'll rank him as C. He's not unfun, but I probably had fun with every other character above him. Up next is Keqing. Oof. Okay, so I think in terms of meta, Keqing is really bad, but she has a lot of fun factor. She can be so fast, she can zip around with her elemental skill. Her burst skill, while it eats up a ton of time and it doesn't deal a lot of damage, which is why she's not a very good character in the meta. It's kind of just fun to see, and it just chains really well with her other attacks. So I think she's a very smooth character, and just being able to aim her electric stiletto attack is really fun. I'll rank her as A, even above Chungyun, but below Keqing, or below Hu Tao, excuse me. She's fun. She's bad, but she's fun. Up next is Klee. So I don't own Klee on either of my accounts, but I have, gone through the story quests, played her a bunch there. Her bombs are really fun to throw around. If you have good grouping characters, her bombs can be really fun, even more fun. You know what? I'll rank her below Chungyun, but A- kind of. Up next is Lisa. I find what I really dislike about Lisa in terms of the funness is just how long you have to hold her charge. It feels like so much of the time that you have her on the field, she's just standing still holding her charge, because that's the only way you can get energy from her. So yeah, I feel like she kind of is a character that, like, in terms of funness, she just sticks there and you have to like deal with it. and it's just not fun to stand in the one place while you charge an attack for so long. So I'm going to put her as D. Up next we have Mona. Her sprints are kind of fun to play around with. Her Omen can be a fun thing. Timing her elemental burst can be a little bit tricky sometimes, so it requires some finesse. So I think while the thing that really holds her back for me is I don't think her charge attacks or her normal attacks are fun to use at all. They kind of are a fun suck because she kind of just has to stay there and do one thing. Her E and her burst can be fun though, and they do require some finesse. So I'll put her as B. I personally have had more fun with Animo Traveler than her, so I'll put her after Animo Traveler. Up next we have Ningguang. She's not unfun, but I haven't had a ton of fun playing with her. I probably played with her for maybe 5 hours, and that's about it. So I'm not an expert on her by any means, but I think once you unlock the constellation to get her AoE attacks, it is kind of nice to position yourself, to recharge your shield, all of that. But I don't think she's like super omega fun. She's kind of like just a standard DPS character with a shield that can sometimes be gimmicky and sometimes helpful. I'll rank her as the highest of the C's. Up next we have Noelle. So this one's a little bit tricky because I think Noelle in her burst mode is insanely fun, but anytime she's not in her burst mode, I think her fun factor goes down an incredible amount. So I think it's a little bit of a tale of both worlds there. I'll put her as the lowest of the B tiers. If you can get her burst up, her burst is insanely fun to use, just watching her shoot around everything. So yeah, next character, Chi-Chi. I honestly just don't see the appeal of her as a fun character. She's basically she just hits everything. I mean, she has to hit to heal, and her hits aren't very fun to use. They're kind of just, standard swings of her sword. Like, I just personally don't find that to be very fun, so I'm going to put her in the D tier. Alright. Up next is Razor. I think Razor's burst is super fun to use, like just getting that attack speed buff, and it gets like this sense of adrenaline, like holy crap, you're attacking so fast, you gotta like time your movement super efficiently to get the most out of your burst uptime and everything. Having a press and a hold for his elemental skill can be pretty fun. His normal attacks they're not amazing, but they're probably some of the more fun normal attacks that there are in the game. I would rank him... Oof, this is tough. I'll rank him above Chungyun in terms of fun play. Up next we have Sucrose, so being able to use 2 of her elemental skills. I think after... Is that a constellation or is that a passive? I don't know. But you have her burst, you have 2 E's that you can use, and then her normal attacks. Again, most Catalyst users, I don't find their normal attacks to be very fun at all. But her kind of like smoothness in her skills when she's not on cooldown is really fun. But then she has such long cooldowns that it can be a little bit of a drag, because when her cooldowns are gone, you have to either switch out or use her normals, and her normals kind of suck the fun out of her. I'll put her at the highest of the C's so far. Alright. Up next we have Tartaglia, Child. I actually have a lot of fun with Child. I think that his attacks, just being able to use a bow or essentially his dual swords, either of them are super fun. There's a lot of flexibility on how to play them. The biggest thing is just his cooldown is really high, so if you use him on the field for like 30-35 seconds, then you have to like basically switch out or use him in bow mode. But he does have a lot of finesse, and I think that 30 seconds on the field is a lot of time on the field to really do what you want, and if you switch out earlier, then you can switch in later a little bit quicker as well. I think I've probably had more fun playing as Tartaglia than Ayaka, so I'll rank him as the highest of the A's. And now we have a Venti. All right. Venti's an interesting character. He's insanely good, but you basically just drop his ult and then do his E and then go off the field. So I feel like he's really good, and it is kind of fun to watch all of the enemies get sucked up, and then just the fact that he can crowd control makes your other characters more fun. But I feel like he himself isn't insanely fun. He's a little bit fun, but not super fun. I'd probably rank him more fun than Jean, but still in the B tier. Up next we have Shengling. I feel like she's a character where while her burst is insanely good, it's more often than not you're going to find another character that will drive her burst for her. So she basically just drops her burst, drops her E, gets off the field, and then she herself doesn't do much. But her burst is insanely fun. I'm actually gonna, basically her and Sing Cho, excuse me, are basically the same in that regard. So I'm gonna rank them together at the same time, and I'm gonna rank them. I'm gonna rank both of them above Sucrose, but still in the C tier. They do what they do. It's not super fun, but it leads to a lot of flexibility with other characters. So their own time on the field isn't fun, but they can lead to more fun potential, if that makes any sense. Of course, this tier list is completely subjective, so trying to reason with it can be hard sometimes, but nevertheless, we must move on. So up next is Xiao. I think that his plunge attacks can be really, really, really repetitive, but there's a little bit of fun factor with it as well. Activating your burst, doing a bunch of plunges. I personally don't own him, so this is just my experience with going through him on any of the trials or any of the times where we've been able to play as him. I feel like he's somewhere in the B tier. I'd probably rank him really similarly to Animal Traveler. He's much better than Animal Traveler in terms of DPS output, in terms of meta and everything. But I would say the fun factor is about the same, so I'll rank him just below. Up next we have Jinyen. I think that her shields are kind of fun in a way. I think her burst is like a nice animation, but it feels like overall, like when you're playing as her, you're just like pressing buttons and there's nothing to really get out of it. If you get enough constellations, she can unlock a spin to win strategy, but I feel like out of the other Claymore users, she's less fun than pretty much any other Claymore user in the game. I think I'll rank her. I think she has more potential than Amber and so forth. So I'm going to rank her in C tier, but the worst of the C tier so far. In terms of fun, again, not in terms of meta. Up next is Zhongli, and I think he's a character where you just activate his shield, you switch him out, you use his burst when it's ready, you switch him out again. He as a character I don't think is fun to play as. Of course, he's insanely good. Great character, but I personally don't think he's fun. He opens up a lot of potential for other characters to be on the field and to unleash their funness without the risk of staggers and so forth, without the risk of having to dodge so much. So that's a plus, I guess, but he himself I don't think is very fun. I'm actually going to rank him again at the bottom of the C's. Now we have Rosaria. I haven't played her too much, but I feel like she has a little bit of potential. I mean, her kind of like sneak attack with her E can be a little bit fun to use sometimes. A little bit tricky to use sometimes, but fun. Her burst is kind of, like this like unique pulsing effect. In some ways, I guess it is a little bit similar to Diona's burst. Like if I'm trying to rank her versus Diona, I would probably say Rosaria is a little bit more fun, just because I feel like her E does a little bit more. If I'm comparing her to Kaya, she's about the same as Kaya, so I'll just put her right there in C. Up next we have Eula. So I think Eula is a character, like where you have to like slowly build her up and then unleash her burst, but I feel like no other character in the game really has that kind of effect where you have to slowly build them up. I feel like sometimes the act of building up Eula's power can be a little bit boring, but the payoff is worth it for sure. I'll put her in B. Probably more fun than Albedo, but less fun than Jean for me personally. Again, I don't have Eula in either account though, so I haven't had a ton of time testing her out. Up next is Yanfei. I just haven't had any fun playing as her. I'm sorry. If you guys have had fun, sure, go ahead. I just haven't. I feel like she's kind of like she has the Amber effect where she just doesn't do a lot for me. There's like no payoff to like anything that she does. Again, just my opinion though. All right, and now we have Kazuha. Easiest decision of my life. Kazuha gets SS rank. I think Kazuha is by far the most fun character that I've ever had playing. I think there's so much potential in terms of team compositions. You're able to get a little bit of crowd control, jump up, jump down. Just like something about that jumping up and down is insanely fun. While Xiao can do it, I feel like Kazuha just does it in a way that's more flexible, whereas Xiao just jumps up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. You're basically just spamming the plunge button, whereas Kazuha, you can be a little bit more in control. You can do a hold, you can hover in the air if you don't want to get hit for a little bit, then you can jump down. And I feel like it's just a lot more smooth. His burst is super fun. Getting the infusions is super fun. He can just work with basically any character in the game. He's so fun. Like he has unique factor, flexibility factor. He has it all. Not much else that I can really say other than he's definitely the most fun that I've ever had on a character in this game. Alright, up next is Yoimiya, so this is purely on the story quest and the moments that we've had to play with her there. While I don't think she's going to be a very good character in terms of the meta, I do think there's a little bit of fun factor in terms of how her arrows work. Compared to a lot of other bow characters, she has that unique ability to get infusions. And I feel like the movements of her attacks are a little bit smoother as well, if that makes any sense. Unfortunately, they don't give a lot of damage, so again, I don't think she's going to be meta-defining. But I actually did have some fun with her in the game. I'd actually probably say, in terms of just the the story quests and so forth, I had more fun playing as her than Eula. But again, just my take. Alright, up next is Sayu. So pretty much all the characters left at the bottom here haven't been released, so it's really hard to say how fun they are. But I will rank Sayu. I won't rank anybody else, but Sayu is going to be a character that I anticipate being... Again, this is an anticipation, so I could be completely wrong. But based off of what I've seen, I think she has potential to be an S-tier fun character. And this is the primary reason why I really want to pull for Sayu. I think her Rolly Ball is a unique elemental mechanic that no other character has. I mean, the ability to hold your E and spin around, I think can be so fun. The unfortunate thing is, it seems like her damage output while she's holding her E for a super long period of time, while it'll be fun to roll around, the damage output won't be super high there. I think she has a lot of unique factors in terms of, the first Claymore, small character, the first Claymore Animo character, the first Claymore healing character, the first I guess like in some ways she has a lot of similarities, of course, to Jean in terms of the ability to heal based off of your attack, but she also has potential to work well with elemental mastery as well. She's kind of like a unique character in her own right. I don't think that she'll be quite as fun as Kazuha, but I think just the act of rolling around in that ball is going to be super fun on its own. Her burst is kind of like Bennett's in terms of getting healing effects and attack, not necessarily attack buff, but extra damage. It's kind of like if Albedo's E, that additional trigger of damage, if that also had the potential to heal in a way. I guess like that's basically saying Diona's. She basically at C1 she can basically have a Diona like burst. But unlike Diona, she has a lot more fun potential with her elemental skill. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how she plays. Again, this is just my anticipation of how fun Sayu will be, but I think she definitely has potential to be a super fun character, and I look forward to seeing how she will be. Alright, so I know this video has been a little bit longer than I anticipated, but thanks so much for watching. If you guys want to share your own fun tier lists with me, then feel free to take a screenshot and post a link down below. Or if you would rather just list your most fun characters in the comments as well, that will be super helpful for me as well. I definitely want to hear what you guys think. Maybe if we get enough support and enough comments, doing more of like a community fun tier list could be really enjoyable to see. Just because while following the meta can be really helpful, I also think that Genshin Impact as a game is a game that you would rather have fun playing as well. I mean, beating the abyss is super important and can make you feel accomplished, but wouldn't you rather have fun while beating the abyss as well? And that's why I think characters like Ganyu and Kazuha are so great as well, and why they're probably so high up, because they have a fun factor and they're able to do really well as well. Thanks so much for watching, and again, please comment down below with your lists as well, and I look forward to hearing from all of you. Bye!